Hello everyone, back again with movie and tune recap. Today, I'm going to explain a Canadian horror thriller film from 2017, titled Pyewacket. Spoilers ahead, so watch out and take care. The movie begins with a young lady named Leah Reyes, who is fascinated with black magic and occult practices. She attends college with her three best friends, Janice, Aaron, and Rob, and is often dropped off after school by Aaron in his car. Leah lives with her mom, Mrs. Reyes, who is still grieving the death of Leah's father and is struggling to move on. One day, Leah interrupts her mother during an emotional breakdown to remind her that she's attending a book signing with her friends. At the signing, Leah meets Rowan Dove, an expert in the occult and author of the book Black River, Black Magic. Leah compliments the book, saying it's well written, and after the event, Leah and her friends hang out behind the school, talking about their parents. Later, Aaron drives Leah home, where she is angrily confronted by her mother for not coming home directly after the signing. Still mourning the death of her husband, Mrs. Reyes tells Leah that she plans to sell their house and move to a remote home in the woods by the end of the month. This news causes tension between them, as Leah is worried about switching schools and losing her friends. However, Leah calms herself by reading a book on black magic. The next day, she tells her friends about the move, and after school, Mrs. Reyes picks Leah up to take her to their new home. When Leah and her mother arrive at their new home, she discovers that the house is isolated, surrounded by dense forests. Shortly after moving in, tensions between the two escalate into a heated argument, during which Mrs. Reyes lashes out and insults Leah, even calling her friends losers. Furious, Leah storms off into the woods, venting her anger by striking a tree with a stick, and in her rage, she begins wishing her mother was dead. Determined to act on her dark feelings, Leah returns to the house, gathers a few items for a ritual, including strands of her mother's hair, as described in an occult book. She then heads back into the woods to perform a blood ritual, summoning a witch familiar named Pyewacket. After completing the ritual, Leah goes back to the house and cleans her bloody arm to avoid raising suspicion. However, during dinner, her arm starts bleeding again. Mrs. Reyes notices the deep wound and helps clean it before applying bandage. She also apologized to Leah for her earlier outburst, trying to make amends. That night, Leah starts to notice strange things happening around the house. And the next morning, she finds the front door wide open and dirt scattered across the floor. Later, she and her mom head into town, where Mrs. Reyes becomes intrigued by an antique store. While wandering through the store, Leah spots a sign that reads, "Be careful what you wish for, somebody might be listening," and this makes Leah feel a deep sense of guilt for using black magic to curse her mom. On their way back home, Mrs. Reyes continues to apologize and tries to make amends with Leah, and suddenly, a truck nearly crashes into their car, barely missing them. Leah becomes convinced that the ritual she performed is taking effect, believing that it almost caused the accident. That night, Leah and her mom share a heartfelt moment, and Mrs. Reyes reminisces about how happy Leah's birth made her and apologize again for the hurtful things she said during their argument. While Leah is asleep, she is woken up by strange noises and footsteps coming from the attic. As the sounds grow louder, she panics and rushes to her mom's room to wake her up. Suspecting it to be an intruder, Mrs. Reyes checks the attic, but they find nothing out of the ordinary. Both return to their rooms to sleep, and while Leah is sleeping, a shadowy figure is seen in her bedroom, silently watching her. The next morning, Leah wakes up in the forest, terrified to find that her arm wound has reopened. Frightened, she runs back to the house and quickly washes the blood from her arm. At school, she tells her friends, Janice, Aaron, and Rob, about the strange occurrences that have happened ever since she summoned Pyewacket. Rob becomes furious with Leah for using black magic to try to harm her mother, warning her of the consequences. However, intrigued by the whole situation, Janice thinks summoning Pyewacket is cool and insists she wants to see what's happening for herself, and she decides to stay at Leah's house for a sleepover. During the sleepover, Leah and Janice have a chat, smoke, and decide to explore the forest later that night. Leah leads Janice to the exact spot where she performed the ritual, and suddenly, Janice becomes entranced and starts walking into the darkness. However, it turns out to be a prank.
It isn't funny, I'm stoned. I know, sorry.
The girls return to the house and head to bed, and while Janice is sleeping on the couch in the living room, she is attacked off-screen by Pyewacket. The next morning, the panicked Mrs. Reyes wakes Leah up to tell her that Janice is missing. The two search the entire house frantically, including the attic, but Janice is nowhere to be found. However, during their search, Leah and her mother find Janice locked inside Mrs. Reyes' car, crying uncontrollably. Janice is too terrified to explain what happened to her, and desperately demands to be taken home. Shaken by whatever she encountered that night, Janice stops attending school and refuses to speak to Leah about the incident. Leah contacts Rowan Dove, the occult expert she met earlier, and Rowan explains that after fulfilling its initial purpose, Pyewacket will turn against the person who summoned it. He advised Leah to perform the summoning ritual in reverse in order to undo the curse before Pyewacket can claim her mother. Rowan also warns Leah that Pyewacket is a manipulative entity capable of taking many forms, so she should not trust anything she sees. Determined to stop the curse, Leah returns home and gathers the necessary items for the reverse ritual, including strands of her mother's hair that she finds in the bathroom sink. She then heads back into the woods to perform the ritual again. As she prepares the ritual, Leah suddenly freezes when she sees what appears to be her mother lying dead on the forest floor. At that exact moment, she hears her mother's voice calling for her from the house. Frightened by the sight of her mother's body in the forest, Leah quickly calls 911 to report her mother's apparent death and then contacts Aaron, asking him to come and pick her up. As she waits, the body in the forest seems to reanimate. She receives a text message from Aaron saying he has arrived at her house, but when Leah gets there, she can't find him anywhere. Confused and terrified, Leah prepares to head back into the forest when she suddenly encounters a vision of her mother. The vision urged Leah to go inside the house and begin to question Leah about her whereabouts. Despite her growing fear, Leah goes to her room and places a chair against the door to block it. Suddenly, the vision of her mother morphs into Pyewacket, who begins furiously pounding on the door, trying to break in. With no other option, Leah breaks the window in her room to escape outside. As Pyewacket forces its way in, Leah jumps out of the window, landing hard but manages to hide behind a tree. However, the creature quickly finds her and gives chase, forcing Leah to run back into the house, where she takes refuge in the attic. Just when she thinks she's safe, Leah is startled by the appearance of her mother, who finds her cowering in the attic, holding a knife. Though Leah is uncertain if her mother is truly who she claims to be or another illusion created by Pyewacket, Mrs. Reyes pleads with her to drop the knife. Convinced that her mother is still Pyewacket in disguise, Leah takes a drastic step. She heads outside, siphons fuel from her mom's car, and returns to her mom's room. In a shocking turn of events, Leah douses her mother, who is lying in bed, with gasoline and sets her on fire. Leah watches in horror as her mother screams in agony, engulfed in flames. As the fire spreads rapidly through the house, Aaron arrives shortly and is horrified to find the house consumed by flames and Leah is lying unconscious on the ground outside. Leah wakes up in a police station, where a detective plays a recording of her earlier 911 call, in which she had reported finding her mother's body in the woods. However, the detective informs Leah that no body was found in the woods, only the charred remains of Mrs. Reyes inside the burnt house. Leah is now a prime suspect in her mother's murder, and as the detective resumes questioning Leah, the movie concludes. Okay guys, that's all the recap about Pyewacket from 2017. Thanks for watching, see you again in the next video.